Hey everyone, welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a really great guest on today. He's a design systems consultant, a web designer, a speaker, a writer, a musician, and an artist located in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And he wrote a book called Atomic Design, which covers all that goes into creating and maintaining effective design systems. Please join me in welcoming Brad Frost. Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Thomas. Appreciate it.
Are you ready for 20 questions?
Lay 'em on me.
Great. Question one, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
I make things and help people. That's kind of what I've distilled it to. And what I make has changed over the years. And I like framing it in this way because I make a whole lot of things. I make websites, I make design systems, I make music, I make art, I make things out of wood and tinker around in my house and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, so that's like a big part of what I do. And but also I really like helping people. So and that takes many forms. I've worked with a bunch of companies, helping them create design systems, websites, and so on and so forth. But I also do a lot of teaching and speaking and workshops. And our latest adventure is rolling out online courses where we're sort of teaching people how to do uh, design system stuff and good design and development best practices. And so that's been a lot of fun. So yeah, it's uh, vast and varied, but I am very enthusiastic about all of these things and keep myself busy and entertained.
Great. Just a note for the audience, if you guys are interested in the 2025 episodes, check out the big episode with Kareem Rashid. So question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Oh, geez. Um, I think that I have come to learn this about myself, but I think that I am uniquely enthusiastic and passionate about things. Whenever I am around people, I can be a lot. I'm pretty hyper extroverted, and and it takes a lot for me to be in the company of someone who tends to be more energetic, enthusiastic, and kind of frenetic, I guess maybe is a word. Like whenever I'm in the company of those people, I'm always kind of fascinated because I'm like, oh, that must be how I am around other people. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think that I've kind of come to learn a lot about myself over the last number of years, and I like to think that I don't fit squarely into uh, any box.
Hmm.
And I've been kind of leaning into that and embracing that and kind of owning it. Obviously, I have my niches, I have things that I am known for, but I've historically kind of tabled a lot of my other interests and enthusiasms and passions, music, for instance, art, for instance, all of these other things, just because I'm like, oh, well, I'm a web designer, I'm a web developer, I'm a consultant, and I'm this, which is a kind of an artificial boundary, right? And so as time has gone on, I've learned to embrace my fuller self, which is pretty vast and varied, as I said earlier. So yeah, that's I think the long and the short of it is that I have this like kind of weird combination of a lot of different things, and I've been enjoying operating in the world in that capacity versus just limiting myself to whatever design system consultant or whatever.
Awesome. Okay, so question three, why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
Um, I like to make things and help people. It's kind of like that's both the what I do and the why I do what I do. It's very interesting. It's quite simple, and I kind of love it because of its simplicity. Uh, I think I'm pretty hardwired to create things. And I think a lot of people are, but again, I think that we tell ourselves stories or talk ourselves out of things, or we self-censor and we say, oh, well, you could only call yourself a musician if you know, have an LP out or you're touring around or et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, so the making part I think is like really just hardwired into me, and it's very difficult for me to not make. I've tried. I've really tried. I've like taken sabbaticals. I've done things, and it is just like a pretty innate part of who I am. And I think in equal parts, um, I am a teacher, a helper. I try to help other people. My mom is an art teacher, and so I think that kind of instinct of wanting to share and wanting to sort of help other people be creative and do stuff that's incredibly fulfilling to me. So I feel that I have a perspective that other people can benefit from. And I get a lot of fulfillment out of sharing that perspective, sharing my own, kind of experience with people in order to empower them to make things and share things and help people as well. So it's that kind of contagion uh, part of that mentality that I think is really cool to see come to life whenever it actually happens. Oh, you wrote this blog post, and therefore I wrote this post, and then that rebounded, and kickstarted this other project, and all of a sudden there's a GitHub repository, and all of a sudden there's these people talking about this. It's like there's a real kind of cascading effect that comes with just putting things out into the world, and it's it's a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a thing to kind of lather, rinse, repeat, because all sorts of great stuff happens as a result of it. And it's way more exciting to do things that get the ball rolling that other people can participate in, take, own, and move forward. There's a very like finite number of things that I myself can produce and create. And that's why I think I get really interested in kind of sharing ideas and concepts and helping give people permission to explore those things because it's really exciting to see people take ideas that I've kind of had and then do something with them. So that's a bit of the why, I suppose. But yeah, I think that there are these like really innate parts of me, but it's only been reinforced over the years as I've been operating a certain way for this long of a time.
Great. Some people struggle with number four, and the question is, what does your future look like?
Uh, Full of tranquility, love, time with friends, family, good experiences, um, endless gratitude, endless love. Like that is not a that's an easy one. That's what I'm working towards. That's what I hope other people are working towards.
Hmm.
Um, I think that there's a I'm sort of through the phase of life where things like professional accomplishments or accolades or status or anything like that kind of matters anymore. I've had some pretty challenging times over the last number of years, including going on right this second, right, going on right now in my life, and that has given me a pretty crystal clear perspective on, I think, what matters in life. And so when I think about the future, it's about really trying to move towards closer to and just cherish the time I have with the people in my life. Um, Friendships, family is everything. Um, Experiences, especially with those people in your life, because everything is temporary, right? So it's really, I hope that my future continues to just kind of strip away a lot of the extra gunk, whether that's, just whatever money or just all of that other stuff that tends to get in the way of what's it all for.
Okay, so five we say is unique to this show. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
That's very great. It's a really fun thing to pick at. Pittsburgh is an interesting place. It is not, you know, a major, world city. It's not necessarily, there's Carnegie Mellon University here. There is robotic stuff happening. There's some like great design and technology stuff that does happen here. I don't particularly, I should be more involved in like the kind of like local environment, but I kind of am usually hanging out at my computer at my house, and I have been doing that since 2013. So I'm a little bit of an island, which again, I it there are pros and cons, of course, to everything. The most important reason why I'm in Pittsburgh is that this is where my family is. And again, family is everything. So, my brother and I have been working together for the last 10 years now, as of next month, and he lives 5 minutes up the road from me. My mom is renting a place in between our houses. My sister's 20 minutes away. My dad's hanging out a little further away, but I see, he comes down and we all hang out a fair amount. But all of my cousins, uh, and now, of course, that we all have families, my daughter gets to play with and spend time with her cousins and all of that stuff. So that's such a huge thing. I think that certainly from a climate perspective, Pittsburgh is not first on the list. It is gray for like 4 months, 5 months out of the year, and it's like the weather just finally broke here in the springtime, and holy smokes, does it make a huge difference. But so all to say is Pittsburgh is charming. It's a very sort of salt of the earth, working class place. And that is, I'm from a small town called Oil City, an hour and 45 minutes north of Pittsburgh. But it's just like really, there's no pretense. There's no, again, the status or the, you know, eh, like trying to impress anybody or whatever. It's just a real true blue, salt of the earth kind of place. And I love that. I love that. And uh yeah. So yeah, family and just also this kind of authenticity, I think that comes with the location. And I'm reminded of it as I've had the good fortune of doing a lot of traveling. And it's carrying that sense of place. I feel like it instills a humility that I've really valued over the years as I've traveled to, some pretty amazing places. I feel like I'm able to really appreciate what those places are. Uh, I'm not like jaded, nor do I have high expectations. And what that ends up creating is a sense of wonder and oh my God, this is awesome anywhere I go. So
Okay, if you were starting from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
Mm. Uh, I'd probably say to embrace your full self sooner, right? I think that back to what I was saying a little bit earlier and sort of like not fitting squarely into a box. Um, there was, I think, earlier in life times where that bothered me or I was trying to figure it out, or saying like, oh, I gotta table this, right? For instance, I went to started out going to school, aspiring to be a music major, for instance, and it was like, oh, okay, like you can't do that professionally, or you're going to do this other thing professionally. Therefore, you need to table music, right? And I feel like I lost a number of years of developing as a musician, simply because I was focused on, building a career as a web designer, developer, and stuff like that. That obviously worked out well for me. But I think the lesson I'd have for myself, but also for others, is that it's like these things aren't mutually exclusive. You can um, embrace your full self, and it's going to help you in whatever the primary thing is that you're pursuing, but it's not an either or. You are give yourself permission to own these things that you enjoy and that you're passionate about, and to not feel like you need to tamp it down or set it aside simply because your focus might be somewhere else.
Great. Okay, what's a day in your life like?
Wake up in the morning. Some mornings, my 7-year-old daughter's already beside me, kicking me in the ribs, because she'll sneak in like a ninja. And then other times she will um, wake us up and sort of jump in between us on the bed and kick me in the ribs that way. So very often she is my alarm clock. And then we'll get moving for the day, go downstairs. This morning I made omelets for my daughter and my wife and myself, and got my daughter off to school, walked her over. We take our dog with us. Uh, my daughter's school is literally across the street. Oh, there's Bootsy right now. You can just join the call. Uh, but yeah, so I take her to school, which is directly across the street from our house, which is amazing. And then walk back with my wife. We have this like nice little like 5 minute conversation when we're walking back from dropping our daughter off. And then usually from there, it's just kind of, coffee, sit down at the computer and just kind of hit the ground running. Um, in a day in front of my computer can look very, very, very different day to day. So for instance, this week, like yesterday and the night before, I was running workshops with one team was in Singapore, so that was from like 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then the next day, had yet another workshop with another team in North Carolina. And all the while, we're kind of creating these courses. I'm writing a blog posts, getting a podcast up and running, several podcasts actually. So I'm all over the place.
Mm,
But I will say, somewhere in there, in the sort of reasonably measured chaos of the day, I will play music every day without fail. And again, it's like it's more of an instinct or like almost like a fidget spinner kind of thing versus a an intentional act. I just like kind of keep instruments nearby, and at some point, even if it's just like for 5 minutes, I'm just noodling around. But that's a big part of my day. is making sure that I touch an instrument and play music in some way. Uh, and then yeah, my wife's usually the one cooking dinner, and I thank her for it. Some nights that's my job, and then we'll put our daughter to bed, bedtime story, all of that stuff, say who we're thankful for, put her to bed, and then usually from there, some nights will sneak into the basement and we have like a whole music studio set up, and I will play music there. Some nights I'm kind of burning the midnight oil, putting some things together, and then some nights we're just tapped out and just lay in bed and stare at our phones for a little bit
Mm.
before going to bed.
Nice. Eight is about lifelong learning. It's a popular topic. How do you stay up to date?
Uh, how do you not stay up to date? That's the bigger question. I feel like these days it's like just getting annihilated with information. It is incredibly overwhelming. I have learned to focus my efforts. If I were to actually try to keep up in any meaningful way with anything too much, I wouldn't ever get anything done myself. I mean, like it very easily could be a full-time job that just occupies all your time. So I found a number of things to be helpful. Um, RSS is was and is amazing, and so as like kind of like Twitter went south and got weird, kind of recommitting to RSS feeds and subscribing to my friends' blogs, subscribing to writers who I enjoy, and using Feedly to check out what people are writing and blogging. That's been really great. There's a really great newsletter that was recently resurrected called Sidebar, and they send like 5 design related links every day. No nonsense. Here's these 5 links. Click on them. It's like the curation is incredible, and I always feel like I learn good things there. Um, do a lot of reading, audiobooks especially. I have been the way that I've been reading a lot of books. And then yeah, and then just kind of by way of I think my interactions with social media.
Mhm.
Pretty active on social media, and I do a lot of eh, sort of asking for trouble, which is to say, I will often throw things out there like, hey, I need some new music to listen to, or hey, I'm like struggling with this thing, or has anybody experienced this problem before? And there's this really fascinating thing that happens whenever you sort of share that. All of these people just kind of, you know, offer their 2 cents and their perspective. And I feel like I've read so many great books, listened to so much great music, learned great things, read many great articles and all sorts of other things simply by sort of sharing my thoughts. Here's where my head's at. Here's what I'm trying to get done. And that like creates this really cool connection with people who are on different continents and stuff like that. So it's a really fascinating dynamic that I've really enjoyed. I kind of like learned that from like my early Twitter days. A lot of people, I don't know if they like kind of fully got it. And nowadays, like the social media landscape, I feel like is so just, content, which is a gross word, but I really like learning things by way of community.
Mm.
And that seems to be something that it's a habit I've developed and I really love.
Mm. Great. Nine is about tools. Can you talk about your use of digital and or analog tools?
Oh boy. It, standard fare stuff. I'm I was recently talking about this with people. So in a number of realms, be it tech with people with the mechanical keyboards or music with people with vintage instruments and can like talk at length about the tech specs of this stuff. I am very pragmatic when it comes to stuff. I have a lot of gear, but it's less. I don't care so much about the specifics, and I don't really kind of geek out at that deep of a level about it. I mostly am interested in like, can I get done what I'm trying to get done? So I view sort of tools as tools. Like it's literally that. I feel like yeah, like a lot of like cultures and subcultures get like kind of built up around this, and it's I'm like I want a computer that works. I want a webcam. I want to I have bought a green screen to do these courses so that I'm able to like key out my background and stuff like that. But from a music perspective, I'm like okay, I have like a bass. I really, and it's a good bass, and once I got that really good bass, then I'm like, great, I don't need to buy 10 more basses. Like I have a good bass, right? Once I had a good keyboard and could play keyboards, I'm like, great, I don't need to go collecting vintage synthesizers as fun as that would be, right? So that's I think like my it's maybe like less specific tools that I'm using and more about like my attitude towards tools, which is I have no doubt in my mind that if I were to sweat the details of whether it's paintbrushes, just last night I like use these like acrylic paint pens, and I got like some relatively cheapo ones compared to there's like a brand that's Japanese, but they're like super expensive. And my wife was like, "How do you like the cheaper ones?" And I'm like, they're great and they seem to work. And that's really all I care about. Like I like are the Japanese more expensive versions better? And are they going to be like orders of magnitude better? Perhaps. And if so, then I should explore it. But at the same time, I'm more like a tools are there to help me get things done, and that I'm not going to like obsess about them beyond what they're doing for
Mm,
me.
great. Okay, halfway number 10, work-life balance, life-work balance. How do you deal with it?
Uh, Poorly, historically and currently. But I feel like my attitude about it has been a lot better. Kind of coming back to just kind of better understanding what matters in life is that clarity has really helped. Now, that said, because of how I'm wired for activity, for making things, for constantly doing. That means that the rest and recovery uh, doesn't happen as much as it probably needs to. So that's something I need to work on. But I think that historically I was kind of grinding away and doing all the things and working really, really hard. Um, but not really with the I wouldn't say like the right values in mind or like the right it was just kind of a little bit like misguided. It was like, oh yeah, like I'm trying to accomplish this thing or I'm trying to get this to this point in my career. And so grinding away and doing all of that stuff for those reasons. But once I kind of started realizing it's like, well, what's all that for? What's all that status or that accomplishment for?
Mm,
It at least like helps frame the work, right? So yeah, so I don't do a great job at work-life balance. I'm also kind of going through a bit of an unfortunate time where I kind of had like a bombshell kind of drop on me, and I had to like kind of pivot to what I do to feed my family very suddenly and swiftly. So I'm kind of in like a kind of a weirdly unique, burning hotter than I usually am perspective. But I could kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that that phase is kind of coming to a close,
Mm.
and I'm looking forward to now that I'm like kind of just like fully on my own and don't really have to answer to anybody as much. Um, to kind of instill better habits. So I've I, I've read all the books. I've done all the things. Uh, I know what it looks like, and at various points in my career, I've been better and worse at things. But I feel like there is a time soon that I am going to crack that code, and I will write about it when I do.
11. If you weren't doing what you do now, what might you be doing?
Man, so many things. I mean, again, like there's that fun thing that I've kind of mentioned a few times, which is, well, I'm a musician, I'm an artist. Each one of those things could be a full-time job if you want to call it that. But like that's kind of the fun of rejecting any sort of like labels or job titles or anything like that anymore. It's like, well, I'm Brad and I do these things and I also do these things and I also do these things. I really into, you know, psychology. I feel like if I had to go back to school, maybe I would like do something like that and get into, you know, mental health and well-being, positive psychology, things like that. I also used to be like a roofer. I like woodworking and like there have been times that I've dreamed about being like a general contractor and going and hanging drywall and stuff. So it's like, and I know that there's only so much life and hours in the day to go around, but I think that like the beauty of kind of not saying I'm this, therefore I'm not this, and just being more inclusive with everything allows me to sort of entertain these things that might seem out of bounds if you limit yourself to a certain box.
Mm.
So yeah, so I don't know. Like I'm gonna maybe I'll do all those things. Maybe I'll be you know a drywaller, but then I'll shift gears and be a you know whatever neuroscientist.
Mm. What would you not like to do with your career?
What would I not like to do?
Hmm.
Uh, I would not like to settle. Um, and there have been times, again, kind of like getting kind of thrown like weird curveballs where I've kind of gotten swept up in the anxiety uh of that, where it's just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to go get a real job now after, you know, almost 13 years of not having a real job. And I was kind of in a place where that kind of felt like that was maybe a something that I was like actually even entertaining, even at like a mental level. And I've kind of realized that it's like, yeah, I don't think that that's in the cards. Like I'm not a 9 to 5 kind of a person. And so I think that what I would like to not do with my career is force myself into a box like that.
Mm. Great. Do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Oh, yeah. My like long pinned tweet, which is now, whatever on Blue Sky or anywhere else, but I just kind of made some little art for it, but as a work hard, don't be an asshole, share what you know, which is a long running philosophy of life. Not my full philosophy of life, but I feel like that is it's a succinct kind of phrase that I've stuck with, and it feels durable and it feels true.
Great.
Another one is wake up excited,
Mm.
which is another part of my philosophy of life, which is finding things to be excited and enthusiastic and passionate about,
Mm,
and to notice those things that in the morning before your coffee kicks in or before your calendar enters your brain, your consciousness. It's like you kind of wake up with like like some sort of urge, some sort of itch.
mm,
And I think that that's important to pay attention to.
mm. Great. And do you have a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Oh, so many. Uh, content is a recent one where it's just like this flattening of art, of human expression, of all sorts of just, you know, insights and just weighty stuff just kind of flattened into this just flat stream of content and just being, it feels derogatory. That's the first thing that came to mind, but there's so many, I've been consulting with a bunch of bigger businesses. I dislike creative like as like a label for a human being. I'm very much of the camp of every person on the planet has creative capacity, and to artificially draw a line that, oh, this person is a creative and this other person isn't, is bullshit to me. So there we could probably go on with that for a while, but those are that's enough for now.
Nice. Okay, you're choosing one word to describe yourself. What word do you choose?
um I'll say authentic.
Mm,
I'll roll with that.
cool.
uh that's a hard that's that's a genuinely hard one, but I feel like at the end of the day, I really value my authenticity, and that's how I want to live my life.
What keeps you up at night?
Phew. Um, how to live a happy, joyful, tranquil life while simultaneously acknowledging my responsibility to the broader world, and knowing that that world is imperfect, right? How do I like sort of strike the balance between not letting the state of the world, which is pretty, uh, and also a lot feels a lot closer because of our technology and these rectangles we carry around in our pockets. How do you not let those floodgates just consume you and sweep you away, and protect your joy, your happiness, and your own lived experience, without necessarily burying your head in the sand or just kind of putting on your headphones and pretending that nothing's the matter. Uh, that's a really challenging thing, and that's something that I wrestle with a great deal. And I know that there isn't an answer to it, but it's a constant sort of balance
Mm,
of trying to weigh those things, because ultimately, we only have one life, and if we allow ourselves to just kind of like let the these other events that we have no control over consume us, and just strip away our capacity for fulfillment and enjoyment of things, uh, you don't get that time back, right? So, so protecting that is really important, while also not abdicating my responsibility to participate and help.
great. Final stretch here. What's a dream you're chasing?
Um, I'd say that almost the same answer as the future question, which is, I think it really is just that sort of stripping things away and becoming more present, recognizing and living more fully with the present moment, with the people I care about, and and all of that. It's really just kind of trying to strip away as much unnecessary um stuff as possible. I wish that I had a magic wand that could help like fix things at a macro level or with other people, but I can't. And so I think that the dream I'm chasing is to just kind of live as truly as I can.
Mm. Great. 18, what inspires you?
Everything, uh, everything.
Mm.
Like, I mean, there is even just weird things, even just like weird, quirky, post-industrial, just like, signs rusted and hanging on by a thread or whatever. It's like, just like the perspective matters, right? And when you're able to see inspiration in anything, you can be inspired by anything, which is so it's like it's kind of there's like some no-brainer stuff, right? You're staring out across a beautiful vista and overlooking mountains. Obviously, that's like pretty inspiring on its own. That's pretty easy. That's a slam dunk, right? But I think that the fun has been to really try to keep my eyes open for inspiration in any realm. Uh, and that comes in many different forms. But I'm not trying to be like pompous there, but it's like because it's an act. It's an act of trying to keep my eyes open, right? It's like something that I like practice. Um, Having a child is really great for instilling that wonder,
Mm.
right? She is seeing things through her 7-year old eyes and seeing things for the first time, and she gets jazzed about certain things. And it's those things that we've seen a bunch of times, but right, whenever they're seeing it for the first time, you're able to better appreciate that, right? So I think that just kind of like trying to keep that childlike wonder and to not get jaded allows you to be inspired by so many things. But music, art, I mean music especially. I think that that kind of embodied experience of receiving music is I think one of like the coolest things that a human being can do. Going to a concert, especially post COVID, for me was like a giant wake up call. It was this kind of went from like, oh yeah, like going to concerts is fun and cool to suddenly being like, oh no, this is like one of the most potent human experiences you can have is kind of experiencing this, being in a room full of this energy and listening to and receiving and giving this kind of energy exchange in the form of music is tremendously inspiring.
Mm. Great. And last couple here. Any advice you'd like to share?
Yes. I mean, yeah, we could be here for a while. I turned 40 last summer and I wrote kind of like 40 thoughts at 40. And there's a lot of things that I encapsulated in that post. Some of them, I've mentioned here today, things like, the importance of family. Everything is temporary. Um, you know, finding purpose and enjoyment in the things you do, protecting your own happiness while also not totally burying your head in the sand, in absolving yourself of your responsibility to the world. But I think what I would really love more people to do is to listen to themselves. I think a lot of people go outwards to help inform and influence what it is they do, whether that's for work, whether that's what they do for hobbies. I think that like a lot of people end up getting like kind of pulled around by the forces um, of their lives, right? And it's really, really important, I think, to pay attention to the things that seem to be your innate qualities and to focus on those and to pay attention to those and to get away from the, well, is this socially acceptable, or is this the thing that's going to give me that status, or is this the thing that is going to work? And when we sort of go outwards, um you know that's that's where we tend to get distracted. And I think a lot of people end up in this situation where you know weeks go by, months go by, years go by, decades go by, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, I'm not living the life that I thought I'd want to live, right? Or you know I not fulfilled, or whatever, or just feeling lost or aimless or whatever. So I think that yeah, know thyself and really pay attention to the things that have you waking up excited.
Mm, great. And finally, number 20, how can our listeners keep tabs on you and what's our call to action?
Yeah, great. I am at bradfrost.com. I have a long-running blog where I share a whole bunch of things. I am going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff over the coming months now that I kind of am on this new adventure, this new chapter. So Brad Frost is where I'm hanging out. My course that we just wrapped up and launched last week is called Subatomic, and you can find that at designtokenscourse.com. And then I'm also on like Blue Sky is a place where I'm hanging out at Brad Frost there, and then LinkedIn and all that good stuff. But yeah,
Okay. Well, thanks so much for joining today. I know it's a long list of 20 questions. Really
great.
appreciate you going through them.
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. I love the format. So thank you.
Thanks.